If your home was built in the 1980s or 90s like ours was, you likely have the Florida light in the kitchen with the fluorescent tubes and maybe a single track light in the bathroom. Today I'm going to show you how to upgrade that lighting to modern LED pot lights that give much better light and cost a lot less to operate. We got so sick of the Florida light in our kitchen that in 2008 I replaced it with pot lights. Now the only option at the time were can lights. But when I replaced the lights in the bathroom, the new modern LED lights were available. And these pot lights are much easier to install. That's why I suggest you use these type of lights when you upgrade the lighting in your home. I've used these Senior LED pot lights in many locations. They're easy to install. They're also damp rated, which makes them ideal for kitchens and bathrooms. They even fit under a ceiling joist, which means you have much more flexibility in where you place them. I've recorded how to install these Senior LED panel lights in other videos. And so I'm going to use segments from those to show you how you can use them to upgrade your 80s or 90s kitchen or bathroom lighting. First, determine what size of light you want to use. Now, the most popular are 4-inch diameter and 6-inch diameter. I like using the 4-inch diameter, but I know some people prefer the 6-inch diameter. Second, figure out where you're going to put each individual light. Now, this is going to depend on the size of light you chose, and it's also going to depend on whether you need to light up a specific area, like maybe over a sink where you want good light when you're washing up. One of the other nice things is you don't have to worry about adding more lights and whether it'll overload the circuit, because each one of these lights uses much less energy than the lights that they're replacing. Third, you're going to have to figure out how to run the wires. Use a stud finder and figure out what direction the joists in the ceiling run. Now, if above this room is an attic, this makes it a lot easier because you don't have to drill through joists when you're running the wires. Now, because you have an existing light in the room, it's usually easiest to run the wires starting at that existing light junction box. So when you have your plan, now it's time to cut the holes for the lights. Here's a short video I shot which explains how I cut the holes for each of these lights. So once you know where you want the center of the light, which is the mark here, take either the template that comes with your lights or in some case the packaging, which is what I'm using here, center that, and then trace. And the reason that the packaging I find works fairly well for most of the lights is that the light fits inside this ring in the packaging. And so trace as much as you can, fill in sort of the gaps here. And now I'm going to cut with a jab saw, not with a hole saw on a drill, because I'm not sure what's up above here and I don't want to hit a water line, a power line, something like that. So you're gonna cut carefully, close here, jab it in one spot. Don't go too deep into the ceiling because you don't know what's there. Make sure you stay on the line or inside the line. It's easier to make a small hole bigger. Get to the end, very, very small little, because you don't want to tear the paper. Okay, now we have our hole cut. Next, you're going to run the wires between those holes. Now, before you start anything, make sure you shut off the breaker for this light circuit. As I said, it's almost always easiest to run the wires starting at the existing light junction box. Often though, that junction box isn't where you want to light. So I usually just use a blank cover to hide it. from most of the holes, you're going to have two wires hanging down, one that brings power to this light and one that takes power to the next light. You should have about 6 to 8 inches of wire hanging out of each hole. Once the wires are run, you can start wiring the lights. Here's me demonstrating how to wire these lights when I use them in a storage room.
I like these ones because they have adjustable color temperature for the light. They have a opening on the end where we're going to put the wires in. This makes it a lot easier to put the box up into the hole here. And they have push-in connectors, which makes it a lot easier in the box. So I'm going to start by taking this end here out. I'm just going to use a screwdriver and open it up there. Nail those pliers. Take that out. Now, you cannot just put the wires in because that's dangerous. This is a sharp edge. So we have to put a cable clamp in, and the ones I like are the ones that are plastic. They just click right in here, and then we are going to put the cables in there. This is what the cable clamp looks like. And you just press it together and it clicks in. These cable clamps are rated for 2 14-2 cables, which is what we're using here. So it is rated to take this. So now I need to prep the cables. I like to usually prep the cables before I push them in by stripping them back. Now I don't need this much wire. I only need probably, because this is going to stick in there, I only need maybe 2, 3, 4 inches at most in here because you don't want too many wires in the box. Cut back the existing wires first. Get each of these back. Okay. I'm going to just cut back some, not the same length here. Okay, that's pretty close. And what I like to do is to go ahead and strip the white and black wires before I put them through the cable clamp. It just does make it a lot easier. So I don't need a lot. I'm going to use the 14 gauge solid wire on my wire strippers here. I'm going to move these out of the way. I'm going to get these wires really tight together and flat, so they're flat against each other, because that's how they're going to fit best into this cable clamp. I'm going to look in the cable clamp and I can see that my opening is on this side, so I'm going to make sure I've got my cables going in on that side. Just take your time, be patient, so you fit them all in. Take the cable clamp, okay, you can see them coming through there. What we need to do for the cable clamp is we need to have this insulation for each of the wires to be visible inside the box. So I'm going to move the cables so that they're not jamming here. And I'm just going to push until I see just a little bit of the jacket, the insulation, in. You're supposed to have a 1/4 inch in, according to code. Make sure that you don't bend the metal here. This is obviously harder with two, when you have 2 cables than if you only have 1. So the other one is going to be a lot easier when we do that, because we'll only have 1 cable. And the back one sometimes, the front one, depends. The jacket can sometimes get caught on the clamp a little bit. So work it until you can see the jacket of each of those wires. Cables coming through. Yeah, the back one is catching on the clamp. It's always the challenge when you're doing 2. Oh, there it is. Okay. So now you can see the insulation of both of those. So when we hook these up, we go by the colors. So I always like my needle nose pliers for this. And we're going to start with the green, the ground. So I'm going to take my bare copper wire. I'm going to put it into the connector here, pushing it all the way in. And I can't see it here yet, so I know I haven't pushed it far enough. Oh, see, it came right out. So you're always pushing it in until you can see it here in the connector. That's what you need to see. Okay, I can see both of them there. That's what we need to see. We need to see both of those connectors. Because then, when you do the pull test on each of these, there's no way they're coming out. So, I can set those into the back of the box first. So I always do the grounds first. Similar to wiring any sort of outlet, or you'd always do the ground first. Make sure your wires are straight. So now I can work on the white wires. See that here. And see that. So there's a close-up. You see the individual white wires coming into the connector, and you can see them at the end, which means it's properly attached. Tuck the white wires back into the box. Now we just have our black wires all the way through. And that one. There we go. Again, visual is what you need. Don't depend on just how hard you've pushed. Visual is what you need. So I'll tuck the black wires back in, close the box up. Now, before you put it up in the ceiling, set the color temperature. So in these ones, the color temperature is this black switch at the end here, and it's 3, 4, or 5,000 Kelvin. For a work area, I like 4, which is the middle one. So then you can just tuck the box back up into the drywall, and the little pigtail hangs out. And I grab the actual light itself. I'm going to test it to make sure. Now these have a little ridge here, and there's a little rib there, so that's how you know you have to line them up to get them on, and then you can secure it with that nut. So I'll go and test it. it works. So take the plastic off. These ones come with the plastic protection on the actual light. So I'll put the clips so I know they're not close to the wood and they won't have a problem there. So there we go. Again, I can test it and it comes on.
Once you've upgraded the lights in your 80s or 90s kitchen or bath, you may decide, like we did, to add a dimmer switch to have more control over the brightness of those lights. We install dimmers in both the kitchen and the bathroom, so we can control the amount of light depending on the time of the day and what we're doing. Improving the lighting is a budget-friendly upgrade for your kitchen or bathroom that will make a huge improvement for your family. If you found this video helpful, please like the video and consider subscribing to the channel where I share videos on projects, products, and tools that we can use to upgrade our homes. If you want to improve the lighting in your home, here are some other videos I think you'll find interesting. Thanks for watching.